The Cinder Wraith, a tale of Nevada's haunted deserts. The Cinder Wraith, a Nevada inferno. Nevada's deserts are a graveyard of forgotten places. Mining towns swallowed by sand and time, their bones picked clean by the sun. Dust Bowl Hollow was one such relic, a cluster of crumbling shacks and rusted machinery abandoned after a fire gutted its silver mine in 1912. Locals said the blaze never really died, that something lingered in the ashes, waiting for the next spark. They called it the Cinder Wraith, a smoldering figure of charred bone and glowing embers, born from the flames and tied to them. When wildfires swept the region, it woke. Tom Reese found out how true that was. Tom was 38, a seasoned firefighter with the Clark County crew, broad-shouldered and steady under pressure. He'd seen his share of infernos, but the summer of 2022 brought a beast of a wildfire, fueled by drought, racing across the hills toward Dust Bowl Hollow. On August 17th, his team was dispatched to hold the line, cutting breaks in the scrubland under a sky choked with smoke. Tom's partner, Javier Ortiz, was with him, 32, wiry and quick with a grin even in the heat. "Gonna be a long night," Javier said, wiping soot from his goggles as they trudged toward the ruins. Tom nodded, hefting his axe. "Just keep the fire from jumping the ridge." The Hollow was a ghost town in every sense, timbers blackened, windows gaping like skulls, and an eerie quiet beneath the distant roar of the blaze. They set up near the old mine shaft, its mouth boarded up but leaking a faint, acrid haze. The fire was close now, a red wall licking the horizon, and the air shimmered with heat. That's when Tom heard it, a low humming lullaby, soft and out of place amid the crackle of burning brush. "You hear that?" he asked, turning to Javier. His partner frowned, listening. "Wind, maybe." It wasn't. The hum grew, threading through the smoke, and the ground trembled faintly. Tom's flashlight caught a shape emerging from the mine, a figure, tall and skeletal, its body a lattice of charred bone glowing with ember-red cracks. The Cinder Wraith had no eyes, just hollow sockets leaking ash, but it moved with purpose, trailing soot like a cloak. Its hum turned into words, sung in a voice like burning paper. "Sleep, little ones, in the fire's arms." Javier dropped his shovel, stammering, "What the hell is that?" Tom grabbed his arm. "Move, now!" They bolted toward the truck, but the Wraith was faster, gliding over the ash-strewn ground. It reached Javier first, bony fingers wrapping around his wrist. He screamed as his glove melted, skin blistering beneath, and the Wraith dragged him back toward the flames. Tom swung his axe, the blade sinking into its shoulder, only for it to shatter against bone harder than steel, embers flaring where it struck. "Let him go!" Tom roared, lunging again. The Wraith turned its eyeless face toward him, humming louder, and a wave of heat knocked him flat. Javier's cries cut off as the creature pulled him into the fire, his silhouette vanishing in a burst of sparks. Tom crawled back, choking on smoke, his radio crackling with static as he called for help. By the time the crew arrived, the blaze had jumped the ridge, and Javier was gone. No body, no trace, just his gear melted into the dirt, twisted into the shape of a cradling hand. Tom survived, barely. He told the story to the sheriff, his voice raw from smoke inhalation, but they wrote it off as trauma, hallucinations from the heat. The fire burned out days later, leaving Dust Bowl Hollow a blackened scar. Then in the ashes, they found it. Javier's helmet, half molten, beside a trail of scorch marks, leading back to the mine. Tom quit the crew after that, moving to Reno, but he couldn't escape the hum. It followed him in nightmares, a lullaby that woke him sweating, the smell of soot clinging to his sheets. Folks in Clark County don't talk much about the Cinder Wraith now, but when wildfires flare, they steer clear of Dust Bowl Hollow. Rangers report strange scorch marks after big burns, patterns no flame could make, and a faint humming on the wind. Tom keeps a light on at night, says it's the only thing that quiets the sound. Out there, in the ruins, the Wraith waits, its embers smoldering, ready for the next fire to call it home.